All right. Good morning, everyone. 47 minutes after 9 o'clock on this Tuesday, 5 Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. We got a nice little soaking rainfall. We're going to talk about some of the rain totals coming up in a second. But obviously, the outlook for the rest of Derby week into Oaks and Derby is what a lot of you are still curious about. And for those of you that don't have any Derby plans at all, I'm sure you're still wanting to know, what the heck's the weather going to be like for the weekend and even beyond, because we do have some issues that are starting to show up for the beyond part that I will touch base on, as always. More of a long-term setup here on the blog. As always, you guys can comment on our social media pages, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, as well as, what's the other ones? YouTube? Is there another one? Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We do have Twitch, but I don't think anyone really comments on there very often. Anyway, you have the ability to ask your questions. If you're watching on streaming, you're not seeing those right now, so just be patient. You'll see those in the replay coming back. Good morning to Karen. Wait a minute. What did you say, Karen? You're on Derby vacation in Savannah right now. Savannah. Nice. I used to live in Charleston. I went to Savannah several times over toward Tybee Island there. What a beautiful spot, though. What a beautiful spot. Good morning to Brad and to Kathy, who's on YouTube. We got Hope that's on here. Hello, Angela. Hope all is well with you. And Ashley, I know you're here because there's a storm chance. So I know you're going to be here. And Michelle, hope all is well over into Linden, Kentucky. All right, let's move this right along. Hello in Columbia, Kentucky to Deborah. Appreciate you watching as well. All right, so let's start with the current setup outside, which, I had the different camera. Let me bring up a different one. Hold on one second. Because we do have Churchill Downs, but at least want to show you guys the where the sun has been coming out. Now, here's the thing on the western side, and you'll see this on the satellite, where the clouds did thin out a bit more early this morning. A fairly extensive fog bank developed into west central areas of Kentucky, southwest Indiana, all the way into Illinois. Here in Louisville, we are timing it out perfectly, where we're able to get rid of the rain. We're able to break up the clouds, but we don't have to worry about widespread fog suddenly forming over us. We're going to have a chance to stay at least hazy for a bit and then go partly sunny and then mostly sunny as we have throughout the day. So that's some good news there. So that's a big plus. All right, here we go with the rain totals. This is Indiana totals did reset, so kind of keep that in mind. But for those of you in Louisville and all of Kentucky, these are the totals in the past 24 hours for this most recent event. Louisville ended up close to 0.8 of an inch. I believe that was close to what I got at the house. I was very close to that mark as well. Several 1-inch totals, even 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches in some cases. So that heavier rain, that lag in southern Kentucky indeed took place, allowing for those higher rain totals to develop. So a good soaking rain across central Kentucky. Not a bad one for Indiana. It just wasn't as long lasting as what Kentucky did indeed see. All right, so that system's gone as far as the majority of the area. Still some leftover showers in Greene and Taylor, I know, into Columbia, where Deborah is. Yes, they're in the last little phase of showers. There's only one little caveat here that I have to mention, and that will be this afternoon, late afternoon. I would say 4 or 5 o'clock, somewhere in that window. There is a narrow window for a couple more little small downpours in this particular spot of Kentucky to pop on the radar. They would not amount to what we just had last night, and certainly what we have now. I just want to mention, if you start to see a few raindrops this afternoon, that is the reason why. It's kind of like a last gasp, but there is a bit of a boundary there that does linger into this afternoon, mainly just a moisture boundary. That's it. And then we're done with that. At least with this system, we'll have a chance to improve. You can see, again, we had that fog bank this morning. Now it's starting to roll away fairly quick, actually. So we're going to enjoy a very nice setup as we head into this afternoon. All right, here's a wider view where we've got our next system already waiting to arrive. It's a busy weather pattern. These systems are all just stacked up one at a time, rolling on through here. So we don't have a whole lot of rest. This next one is going to be more of a front that is going to kick up severe weather today into Nebraska, into Kansas City, into Iowa, spots that are quite familiar now to severe weather. We'll face it again today. We will end up with a fading area of thunderstorms. It'll be a fading either arc or a line that will move in after 4 a.m. as it settles into Indiana, Illinois, and perhaps near the Ohio River. That's where it'll become. I don't know why my drawing tool is drawing weird today. Sorry about that. I'm trying to draw a line that looks somewhat of like a straight line, but it may not look like it. It will sink down to the south and then fade and put the brakes on very close to about the 4 to 5 a.m. window. Now, we've been tracking this for about, a week now, this particular setup, which is a minor one overall, but it's one we don't want to discount because of what I'm about to say. As it fades out, there is a small chance there could be still some raindrops or a shower with that as it settles into southern Kentucky or southern Indiana, but it will indeed be putting the brakes on and slowing down, if not coming to a complete stop. Then it will take a nap, and it will enjoy a nap for a good chunk of Wednesday before the sun wakes it up. And when the sun wakes it up, then it has a chance to pop thunderstorms. And at that point, it depends on where the boundary went to take a nap at, basically. And that is where we will get into at least a few thunderstorms that could be on the gusty side as we into Wednesday afternoon. Not everyone's going to see it, but it's hard to say exactly who is going to at the same time because we need to know where it's going to stop. And the models don't always get that exactly right, but you get the idea. That's our next feature that we'll be tracking in the next 24 hours. So let's do just that. Here's Futurecast showing that little last gasp, if you will, of a shower chance as we head into southeast sections here of wave country. It's very, very brief, very minor overall, but it's there. Otherwise, we'll have enough absence of fuel here to be able to enjoy a nice little setup here for this afternoon. Very, very pleasant. Okay, so a good-looking Fable Tuesday for the area. We get into tonight. Keep an eye up here on the upper left-hand corner of your monitor, your screen. That is where we've got the thunderstorms that are going to be moving in from the north later tonight. You'll see those kind of race down in this fashion and fade out. So here they go. They're dropping in 10 o'clock tonight. They're there, not too far away, around, say, Columbia, Missouri. And then they start that fading process. But now we're just tracking the boundary by cloud cover. It's the easiest way at that point. Clouds in by moisture levels. And you can see it settles down to southern Indiana, 8 o'clock in the morning. And according to this particular model, it thinks, or it likes the idea that it's going to take a nap about right in through here. So very close to, I would say, the Indiana side of 64 for the majority of this. Maybe some part of Kentucky could be very close to I-64. It may be a bit of an angle, but in general, southern Indiana looks to be the spot there. As it goes and takes its little nap, so rest up, we have a chance to have a cloudier start in some areas early in the day, but we'll go mostly sunny fairly quick toward midday into tomorrow, keeping things up into the 80s. And then the sun begins to heat things up and we start to wake up our little boundary. And then when it happens, thunderstorms are going to have a chance to pop. Keep an eye on Evansville right here, just as an example. Again, what you see there in the red and gold is fuel or cape. Watch how that just erodes away rapidly as these thunderstorms pop. Now, here's the thing. There is not a lot of wind energy with this above our heads. Hold on one second. I got a spammer. Got to take care of it real quick. Hold on one second. Sorry, Melinda, but you're in the wrong chat. All right, so as those begin to pop, the wind fields are weak, so they do not have the chance to really organize in any one fashion. So they're just very much random when they pop. They'll develop heavy rain, some lightning, maybe some gusty winds, and then they basically just collapse on themselves, and then they're done. Lifespan, maybe 20 minutes, if that. But with it being late afternoon and evening and everyone being out at Champions Day and or the Great Steamboat Race, obviously that 20-minute pop of a thunderstorm is not good, even if it was 2 minutes. Not good. So we don't want anything like that. So it's going to be very brief in nature, and it's not a guarantee that we're all going to see this. In fact, majority of us will not. Because of the lack of a wind field over us, they can't really organize and impact the whole region. It's only just a couple of spots that we'll see a few thunderstorms fire up, and then they'll fade out, and then we're done. Can you get a severe thunderstorm out of this? Sometimes we'll call those pulse severe. You can get a brief warning for that. It's not a tornado setup, to be clear, at all. It is just a brief gust, maybe a damaging wind gust in some cases, but lightning, I think, is one of the bigger hazards that could form out of this. And they may not even form around Louisville. They could only form around Evansville. They may only form closer to up 71. It just, again, depends on where that boundary settles later tonight and early tomorrow morning. Once I'm on here with you guys tomorrow morning, I will be able to see where that boundary is, and we'll have a much better idea. Fair enough? Okay, let's move on. That fades out. We'll end up with a very warm day into the afternoon hours for Thursday as well. There is a chance for an isolated pop-up there, but that is more of a summertime setup there on Thursday. not so much of a boundary it's in the area. It's just a general, you go outside and you sneeze, and you are just enough force to create a thunderstorm. I may be exaggerating a bit, but you get the idea. It's going to be very, very isolated, if anything can even form at all. Majority of the day is going to be quite warm. We're keeping 90 out of the forecast for now, but I don't think we're going to be far from 90. And it certainly will feel like that on Thursday. Okay, now we get into Oaks. Okay, let me get to a different graphic for that. Let's switch over here. For Oaks and for Derby, here's the game plan, and the storyline continues to become better defined as we're getting more data, and we're obviously getting closer to it, but it's still a very messy setup with moving parts that confidence is not as high as I would want it to be this close to Derby Day for sure. So let me get past Derby here real quick on this particular model. So we knew Derby, it's going to be very warm, you're going to be sweating, yada, yada, yada. Okay, we get into Oaks Day. Oaks, what is interesting about this, and you're looking at the Euro run, what is interesting is there has been a very much a, what we call a shortwave or a disturbance, mini low pressure, multiple names, that showed up in the Euro last week, early last week, was showing up, moving out of Louisiana right into central Kentucky. And that feature is actually still there. Now, it's varying on the different models, but it is showing up still, even on this most recent run of the Euro, where that seems to be the catalyst for how things will play out for Oaks Day, because this is going to be a spinning low pressure, a mini one, with some showers and some thunderstorms kind of pinwheeling around it as it spins out of Arkansas. Timing is everything. Here we are at 7 a.m., and it should be spinning somewhere close to Jonesboro, Arkansas for Oaks morning. We may already be overcast as the clouds, just based on where we're at, should already have overtaken the area. So it should be overcast to start things off on Oaks morning. We get toward, say, about 12 or so. Ooh, boy, it's approaching. Skies should be getting darker as it's approaching with some areas of showers and, again, some thunderstorms. Now, the severe risk is not very high of this because this thing's missing a lot when it comes to severe weather. It's not zero because it's May, right? It's going to be early May, so we can't discount it. There's just not a big overwhelming signal like this is going to be a big problem on severe weather. That's not there. But I can't rule out a strong thunderstorm on that, so we'll just evaluate that as we get closer. Right now, our challenge is figuring out when will the rain arrive and how much rain are we talking about. I think it will begin to approach by midday on Friday, and as we head toward the afternoon, it will continue to spin about. But again, with it being a more of a mini low pressure, a couple of things with that. You're going to end up with the eastern side of it will likely carry the heaviest of the rain and perhaps a little more of the widespread portion of it. There actually would be I don't want to call it an eye, but it's the best way I can describe it. It would be like the center of it, like you would a hurricane, but it will be a bit of an eye to it that will drift over us. If we can have that time out perfectly, that may move over Churchill Downs in the afternoon for the run for the Lilies. That is possible. But at the same time, because this is spinning and it's more of a circular type of setup, we will have to deal with showers on the other side of its spin as well as it moves off to the east. So there's a mix of good and bad news with this type of feature. So I think overall our biggest issue is the timing of it moving in, but with it spinning like that with rounds of showers and thunderstorms kind of pinwheeling around it, it doesn't look to be a washout scenario. But I do think there will be clusters of moderate rainfall, maybe even heavy rainfall kind of spinning around it. And they may hit Churchill Downs. They may stay in Bullitt County and Hardin County and miss us all together and spin all the way around to Indiana and fade out. So the track of that is crucial. And why I mention that, GFS is a little more angled like this for the track of it. The Euro, as I just showed you, was just like this here, that track. And here is the Canadian model, a little more of a straight line than what I drew, but is way north with it. So that's what we have to figure out. I'm not as concerned about temperature right now as I am, or anything on in terms of severe weather as I am about the angle of attack that little short wave, that spin will have as it moves in. We've got to figure out at what angle, because that will matter. Whether it's Churchill Downs or not. For those of you that are not doing anything Oaks related, I get it. You're like, what about my area? Well, we're all going to be the same boat. If it moves right into central Kentucky, we're all going to be facing a higher rain chance at some point, right? But if it takes the more Euro idea, then we will get some decent amount of dry time before we have to deal with the rain later into the afternoon. So right now, they're not all agreeing, but I would say that the Euro with it aiming right in Kentucky, and that's exactly what it had last week, and it's still doing that. That's something to take note of. Okay, so we'll see what the midday data shows, but that's where we stand for Oaks. Derby Day, that feature will be east of us by the time we head into Derby Day. There is another boundary in the front and even a small low pressure, even with this feature as well, that does arrive on Derby that will also be tracking down I-64 coming in from St. Louis. Right now, it looks to be just slow enough to where we'll be able to get the run for the roses in, and we're like, haha, you're too late, and it may not arrive. But at the same time, if it speeds up and we close in this gap a little more, then we may end up with that feature rolling in for Derby afternoon. But for right now, I like the timing the way it looks because just about every model has this break that happens between the first spin and then the second one to where we're able to get the majority of Derby Day in the middle there. Even a trend going back up now in temperature into the 80s for Derby as a result of that break. That wasn't there yesterday because, again, it was much slower with the first spin moving through. It kept us cloudier. And certainly on Derby Day, we ended up with a risk for showers that would regenerate in the coolness of the afternoon with the cooler air over our heads. But I'm not sold on that as much today. So there is some hope here. There is still some hope. I like this. It's for a busy weather pattern and to still be talking about the idea there could still be a gap. That's pretty awesome. We'll take it because we're not always that lucky. But that's how we are stacked up as we head into Oaks and Derby. What questions can I get before I get into an issue that we need to pay attention to in the long term here? Just a second. Before I cover that, make sure I got, Nanny, you're right. In fact, I just got, I had ponchos left over from last year to be ready, but went ahead and got a few more to get ready for this season as well. Nick, as long as it's nice on Sunday, I could care less about rain on Derby. I love getting the rich, getting rained on. All right, Nick. Well, I'll tell you what. Sunday could still feature part of that feature there that you saw moving in out of Missouri. That may still be the case. And there's actually two more behind it, Nick. So, unfortunately, it is a busy pattern. So, we're going to get breaks, but it's going to be very hard to get a full day break out of this kind of a pattern. It's going to be very difficult. But we're going to try. We are going to try. All right, everyone good? Okay, so we'll have more updates on this as we get a little closer. Here's the summary of the rain chances I just described it to you as of now. Again, we have that surge of that spin coming into play as we get into Oaks Day. Hopefully, we can show a little bit more of an up and down to these rain chances as we get closer. Right now, we have to be a little more of a general climb up or down until we get more high-res data. But you get the idea that Thursday or Oaks Day would feature the highest chance. Derby Day, right now, we're going to keep it at about 30% and a bit wavy, but there is an opportunity to really get that back down again. So I'm not giving up hope on that. Once we get past the weekend, then we get into a pattern that I don't like to see. And that is one that has been tough to break out of, where we get several more low pressures moving on by into the upper Midwest, Northern Plains. And once again, we're going to keep building in fuel and repeated rounds of severe weather, returning back into Texas, all the way into Missouri again. And this could be another multi-day event for next week. All right, this is next week we're talking about. The difference and why I'm talking about it with you all is that we are a little more involved in this round, as the severe risk and potential is going to be shifted a little more at an angle excuse me, to the north and east, more into the Ohio Valley, especially as we head into Tuesday, perhaps even into Wednesday. It's Euro especially wants to extend this out over a several-day window with temperatures pushing 90 on a daily basis while we're in that environment. GFS and other models are not as doom and gloom on it being that long in duration, but just about every model does hint at us getting into this environment. And I think Tuesday right now is the day certainly to watch. Here is the outlook. Let me show this further to you. This is from the Colorado State. The top graphic is Colorado State. The AI module certainly has us into what would be a slight risk already 7 days in advance. It has us in the slight risk. Now, that's not the Storm Prediction Center. That's AI that does fairly well, to be honest with you guys, already sniffing out. But even look at the analogs coming in from SIPS. It, too, is indicating a severe risk, which is a little unusual for it to agree with CSU. They always seem to fight. So The growing potential for severe weather is there for next week. And right now I'm thinking Tuesday's a day, and that could get flagged as an alert day here soon if the data holds on that idea. So while we're focused on all the Derby events, the weather doesn't stop on Saturday. There's still life goes on. So we have to continuously monitor the rest of the 10-day, and that is where we stand for next week. All right. I'll leave it at that for now. I don't want to get you guys too bogged down in too much information because that's a lot to take in. That's a lot for my brain to take in. All right. I appreciate you all as always. I got to run. Got to get ready for the midday show, if my voice makes it. Get ready for the midday show, and I will see you guys coming up at 11 a.m. All right. Take care, guys. Oh, yeah. I'll show you the 10-day for a minute, and then we'll go to music. All right. Stand by.